Hey y'all, so today I've got in front of me this 2004 Ford Taurus SES with only 53,000 miles. Yeah, you heard me right, 53K on it. This is probably one of the only ones with mileage this low in the entire state, and wouldn't be surprised if there's a tiny little handful in the entire country with mileage that low. Not getting into the entire backstory of the Taurus, as most of y'all know that, but in short, the Taurus served a huge role for Ford back in the 80s when it debuted. I think it was 86, which was the first production year. And it completely changed the automotive industry and that class of vehicle. Everything was just square and boxy looking, like it was designed in the 70s, and out came the Taurus, and it was this aerodynamic looking car that was nothing like anything else in the market. This is the fourth generation of the Taurus, and it's the last generation of the old school Ford Taurus. And what I mean by that is the platform this rides on is pretty much the same exact thing from 86, and really underneath not much has changed. Obviously, Ford has done enhancements to the ride and whatnot, different powertrains, but one that never escaped from 86 to 07 was the 3-liter Vulcan V6, which Ford has used in a variety of their cars. From 96 and newer, it only had a choice of two different engines. They were both 3 liters. One was the Vulcan, and the second option was the dual overhead cam 3-liter Duratec V6. And that was the one if you really wanted to have some balls out on the road. And with this generation, this was basically Ford's answer to killing off the highly criticized Jelly Bean from 96 to 99 that everybody hated. I always thought it was cool just because of how round everything was, but this is not a bad looking car. I mean, what can you say bad about its looks? Really nothing. Oh, look inside. This is a decent looking interior. You know, it's very spacious. Lots of soft touch materials, believe it or not, and these interiors held up well, with exception to these side panels, which have a tendency of unsticking from the door panel, but this one's intact. The familiar sounds of the Vulcan V6. So used to hearing that engine in a lot of Ford products. It's a smooth operator-ish. To be honest, I'm always impressed when I sit inside a Taurus of this era, or pretty much any Taurus, and that's just how spacious these cars are. You know, it just delivers that full-size car feel, and they've always had decent interiors. For example, dashboard is all soft to the touch, even down here below, armrest, and even the top of the door panels, soft to the touch. You know, pretty much anything that you'll commonly put your hands on is soft to the touch, with exception to buttons, obviously. All that stuff is going to be hard as a rock. Everything's easy to read and well within reach. It's easy to understand. Even someone with very few brain cells upstairs will be able to master this radio and climate control combo. I mean, it's all clearly labeled. The Taurus was always about giving you more than just 4 doors, wheels, and a seat. They were always about giving you a lot of bang for your buck, and a lot of standard features. Every single one, at least from 2000 onwards or from the 90s, they've always had power windows, power locks, power mirrors. This one is pretty loaded, and it has just about everything you can get in the Taurus, which, with exception to this only has the base sound system. It does not have a leather wrap steering wheel, but it does have a powered seat and a leather interior. Rear passenger comfort was also very decent. I'm 6'1", seat is adjusted to where I'd position it, and I'm still just, you know, barely touching this backrest. I can sit back here on a road trip if I have to. Even headroom's decent. So yeah, if every passenger is 6 feet tall, they're going to be comfortable, unless if they'd be sitting in the middle here, then it'll be a very lousy place to be. 60/40 split fold. I'm only going to open the one side and pop the trunk. But yeah, this is a very spacious trunk, and once you have those seats folded down, got quite a decent amount of utility. Yeah, another look at another Vulcan. Obviously it's a 3-liter, 155 horsepower, which is kind of interesting how it makes a little bit more horsepower than that 2008 Ranger that I did a quick video on. Now the second engine choice was the 3-liter Duratec. That one gave you 200 horsepower and 200 foot-pounds of torque. I think this one's like around 180, 185 foot-pounds. But if you drive this and the Duratec back to back, it's a completely different monster, and it really wakes this car up. This engine's fine. It's just enough to get out and about, but you know, if you really want to punch it and pass someone with authority, this really isn't the car for that. Every single one of these were paired to a 4-speed automatic, the AX4N. These have gotten a bad rap in regard to the transmission, but really when it comes to these gearboxes, it comes down to maintenance, really. This was really the kind of transmission that you had to change the fluid every 30,000 miles if you wanted to get a long life out of it, and the problem is most people didn't do that. It just rolls. The thing about this engine is that there's really nothing that spirited about it. Its main goal is just to get you moving. It basically just delivers power that's better than a typical 4-cylinder of the era. But when you step on it, I mean, you can see it doesn't necessarily zip on by, but it gets you going. This is not a very eager engine. Now, in terms of the way the Taurus handles, these cars handle very decently. 4-wheel McPherson struts, so it doesn't have, you know, a very unrefined feel to it. The ride is so plush and smooth. You can drive across the country in this car and still be very comfortable. Steering is nice and direct. Any little nudge, the car just darts that way. Road noise is, you know, very low. This is a decent all-around car, and most that had these, you know, that bought them new, I imagine that everybody was very satisfied with them. And this one, with only 53,000 miles on it, it's got such a long life ahead of it. I mean, this thing could easily keep going till it becomes illegal to, you know, drive a car with an internal combustion engine under the right hands. Personally, if it were me, I would rather have the Duratec engine. It just really delivers on power, and when you punch it, that car goes. It doesn't just make a lot of noise and go a little bit like this one tends to do. But, you know, if you're not the kind of person that has a lead foot, then this is adequate, and that's basically how everybody sums it up with this engine. And for those of you that want a little more luxury, I'd suggest looking into the Mercury Sable. It just had a more premium look and somewhat more of a premium feel to it inside, but otherwise it's really not much of a difference. Personally, I prefer the Sable. But yeah, if you're ever in the market for a simple, you know, American car, or any car of this class that, you know, delivers in safety, fuel economy, comfort, then a decently maintained or a low mileage Taurus won't do you wrong. These can be good cars. You know, I would much rather have one of these than, you know, a Malibu, Impala. And believe it or not, over a Camry, there was really nothing fun or enjoyable about driving a Camry. Believe it or not, a Taurus feels a lot better out on the road. I would rather sacrifice some reliability for a more comfortable car that delivers more power and that's slightly more enjoyable to drive. I feel the Camrys just, I don't know, they just feel like big tin can boats. And the Taurus has a more substantial feel to it. In my opinion, it has one of the most substantial feelings in terms of how it drives than most of the cars in its class. But yeah, guys, that's all I got for this Taurus, and I don't know what I've got in the pipeline yet, but don't think it'll take me long to figure that out. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned.